It's Friday, October 21st. Let's talk PlayStation. Alright, so clearly I wanted to do this idea last week, but like I mentioned in last week's episode, my VR did not come in on time, therefore I had to wait an extra day, all that jazz, but who cares? I guess we'll do it anyway. But let's still talk about some things that we need to discuss. Very important things, like this past week the PlayStation blog announced PlayStation Tournaments, which is going to be a new little thing that Sony is doing. It's going to be right on the dynamic menu of the PS4. It's going to have a little event section. The first game that they're doing for it is NBA 2K17. Very cool idea. I think you can go to the PlayStation blog and look at the exact date, but it's starting late October for NBA. And it'll basically, on the menu and everything, it'll tell you like when matches will start and when you will have to join in and whatnot to be like part of it and everything. But it's actually pretty cool. They're actually going to be offering some cool stuff too to the top 3 people that actually win the tournament, like a DualShock 4 or like PlayStation Gear or something. It reminds me of like 1 versus 100 on Xbox Live back in the day. That was actually like really cool. I really enjoyed that. So nice to see Sony do an initiative like that as well. Alright, this one you'd have to live under a rock to not see this, but Red Dead Redemption 2 has been officially announced. It was teased earlier in the week on Twitter, then Rockstar formally announced it. Normally we wouldn't single out one specific game announcement that's third-party related, but it is worth noting that Sony does have a partnership this time with Rockstar, once again actually, like they did with Grand Theft Auto 5, which was, of course, a very important partnership. I think anytime you partner with Rockstar, it's a very important, big deal. That means Sony has marketing rights to this game. Early trailers, all trailers, TV appearances for this game. It's all going to be PlayStation 4 footage, all going to have PS4 branding and logos everywhere, and also the obvious one, which is that because of the partnership, DLC is going to come first to PS4 whatnot. I always think that's kind of irrelevant usually, because it's kind of annoying for the other people that want to buy this game on other platforms, and they just have to wait a little bit, like slightly a little bit longer for the content. But obviously those small little things do help. I think the marketing is definitely the most important thing. But yeah, and the game looks totally cool as well. I mean, you have to be crazy to not think it looks good and that you would not be excited about it. But yeah, Red Dead 2 is finally a reality. So this past week, PS4 architect Mark Cerny dropped a couple of tidbits and knowledge about PlayStation 4 Pro. One thing that we already kind of were expecting and one thing that we did not know. So the one thing we were expecting, yes, clearly you can upgrade the hard drive of PlayStation 4 Pro. He did confirm this. Yeah, who really didn't see that coming? I would be absolutely flabbergasted and shocked if this was not a thing on PS4 Pro. Almost a decade now that Sony's been allowing user upgradable hard drives since the PlayStation 3 in 2006. So, yeah, we kind of saw that coming. The interesting one that we didn't necessarily know is that the PS4 Pro actually has an extra gigabyte of RAM. Now, it's not an extra gigabyte of GDDR5 RAM, but it's actually 1 gigabyte extra of conventional DRAM. Basically, what this is going to be for is obviously what PS4 Pro does, which is handle a little bit of extra processing power and allowing, in-game actually it's only going to be 512 MB of extra, work that developers get to use it for, but it's like, buffering for the game and whatnot in terms of, bringing texture detail in and stuff like that. Like all that development nonsense, more or less. That's what it's there for. Clearly, he made note of the fact that, we can't add a crap load of new RAM to this thing because that's where it starts to blur the lines between a whole new generational shift. And that's kind of what, we still keep talking about over and over again. It's still, PS4 Pro is still a PlayStation 4. I think I like the language he used for it too, which is that he said PlayStation 4 Pro is still part of the PlayStation 4 generation. I think it's a very good way to sort of phrase it, which is implying that, hey, it's still a PS4, and PS4 is its own generation. So, when they do get to the point where they want to do, say, a PlayStation 5, they will be using that branding, PlayStation 5, and that will signify that that's a much grander leap in terms of hardware, in terms of game development, in terms of a user menu, a marketplace, the friends list, like literally everything. That's what a new console is. PS4 Pro is still going to have the same crap that you're seeing behind me, which, wearing PlayStation VR right now, I'm just looking at that. I'm looking at the menu right now. So, yeah. So that's really about it for PlayStation this past week. I mean, not really a whole lot going on. Kind of a soft news week for Sony. But, and I know it's Let's Talk PlayStation, but we kind of have to talk about something as monumental as a console reveal. It doesn't happen all that often. So let's talk about it real quick. For our final little piece of news story, Nintendo has officially revealed the NX. We actually know what it is now. It's called the Nintendo Switch. And much like the, vast amount of rumors that were out on the internet already, if you didn't, follow along or anything, I mean, it is sort of a modular console, not even console at that point. It's sort of blurring the lines between what a traditional console is and what traditional handhelds are. This thing is completely swappable with the screen, connecting to a television, the actual, it's weird to say controller because it's not really a controller anymore. It's like, pieces that you can slide in and off of both sides of the screen. You can use a separate Pro controller for it. It's got a kickstand to set on its own. Very cool, actually. I'm not gonna lie. It's I like it a lot. I like the name of it too, specifically. I think that's one of the biggest problems with Wii U is that it was a lot of consumer confusion. So I like the name. I think it's simple. I think it's straightforward. I think people get it. It's to the point. My only problem with it, and I think a lot of people's problem with it is that it's just one of those. It's just Nintendo's in sort of a rock and hard place now. Where their first party's always there. The first party's always great, but it's so third party is always a problem with Nintendo. It has been for the longest time now. Every single piece of Nintendo hardware has been on a decline, except the Wii. The Wii was an outlier where it was massively sold because of the great marketing strategy it had and the appeal that it had and the way that games had fundamentally changed on the Wii, but at the same time, we also realized as time went on, the Wii was a problem because of its input method, and third parties, abandoned ship pretty fast on that machine, and it was only Nintendo first party that was really, accelerating fantastic games on the Wii. Wii was a bit of an outlier. Other than that, every single console has been on a decline, and I am greatly concerned about that with Nintendo Switch as well. It's just one of those things where. And I had tweeted about this, and a lot of people actually agree with me. It's like, Nintendo Switch, it looks great, but, to all the, consumers that, say, bought a PlayStation 4 and Xbox One, your regular, say, Joe Schmo, he's not a super huge gamer, but he's, your typical consumer that maybe buys a handful of games each year, and it's like, these are the kind of people that are buying consoles en masse, and it's like, is that same person going to go out and buy a Switch? I'm inclined to say no. But that remains to be seen. Anyway, congrats to Nintendo, and we look forward to seeing what they do with Switch moving forward come March 2017 when they plan to release it. Anyway, those are some of the news stories I want to talk about with you guys this week. So if you didn't see it already, we did some PlayStation VR coverage this past week. It's about a 20-minute long video discussing my impressions of the headset, and then I show you a lot of gameplay clips of some of the stuff I've been trying out and how I feel about that. So definitely check it out if you're at all inclined to, if you're at all curious about the PlayStation VR world. Certainly I'm living in it right now, and it looks like the PlayStation 4 dynamic menu. Anyway, Spiral Let's Play is going all well and good, and that's pretty much it. Next week, following coming up week, you can expect some more PlayStation VR videos. Probably just one. But, we'll slowly churn some more out and have some more coverage on the device itself, and I'll try and pump out maybe a few final game reviews, because, of course, the 20-minute video is just impressions. I like to spend a lot of time with stuff before I really give it some sort of final verdict. Anyway, that concludes this week's episode of Let's Talk PlayStation. I'm Ryan Benecki. Thank you all so much for talking with me, and I will see you guys next Friday. I'm going to include this in the footage, too. This thing gives me, usually you'd say, hat hair, but it gives me VR hair. Look at that, there's a whole frame right here. It covers your whole hair. Screws up my do. If I know I'm playing PlayStation VR for the day, I'm not, styling my hair in any way, basically. I'm going to look like a bum.